Welcome to Three Glorious Sons supplemental video. Hidden within the First Folio are plenty of clues as to the original and true identity of the author. I thought I was done with the third part of Henry VI, and in particular page 152, but I was wrong. Recall that in the original video we had a numbergram in which all the English numbers spelled out in this box add to the number 17. Then I looked at what is now Act 1, Scene 2, and the final lines in that act. I noticed some odd letters. They appear at the beginning of the word queen on 3 successive speech lines. Why change from this fancy Q with the tail to this not so fancy Q, also with the tail? Then back to the first italic Q. Notice the extra E in the second version of Queen with that fancy Q. It's missing in the first version of it. So what is going on? This puzzled me for quite a while until I discovered this book by Robert Flood. I won't read the Latin out, but it's simply a cosmology in which he compiles all sorts of information culled from different sources and sometimes putting his own spin on it. Think of it as a one-man authored encyclopedia of metaphysics, physics, mathematics, and other topics. Notice too, on the right-hand side, wonderful illustration of the Ptolemaic universe in which the Earth is the center of everything. In the book, he deals with arithmetic. And here's where it gets interesting, folks. I wasn't really paying too much attention to these uppercase Q's. And then I started looking through these different books available on the Internet Archive. And then I found the following. It's a chart from Track 2, Part 1, Book 3 of this book, in which he shows a table of symbols how to multiply or square numbers. Notice at the 2 o'clock position we have an interesting figure. That fancy uppercase Q is the symbol for squaring a number. So I asked myself, is it an instruction to do something? I believe it is. I believe we square the gematria values of these letters. the lowercase u's, which are right next to this fancy Q. It's like we're writing a squared number in reverse. Instead of putting the number that we want to square at the bottom, we're putting it above the symbol for squaring the number. "20 times 20 is 400. After fiddling around with these numbers, I found out that we subtract the gematria values of the Roman letters in the lines that are next to it. The first line sum is 51. The second line sum is also 51. That's a clue to me that I was on the right track. So 400 subtract 51, we get 349. This equation probably explains why these letters changed. Now we can subtract the page number. As we know, if we take a sum, we can subtract things that are different from it. And the page number is different from the squared numbers minus the gematria values of the Roman letters in those same lines. When we do that, we get a digit sum number twice. 1 plus 9 plus 7 is 17. The only other place that I found this special Q so far is the second part of Henry VI and page 135 of the folio. Take another look. We have another change of Qs. The left-hand column has the Qs without the little swirlies in the center, but the right-hand column shows one line that has the fancy symbol for squaring the number. So we do the same thing with this line. We square the gematria value for U. To get 400. Then we subtract the value of this letter to get 386. We need not go further because 386 is a digit sum number whose digits add up to 17. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus 6 is 17. As we have seen in the Solving Some First Folio Enigmas video, the hour and 15-minute long one that I posted recently, the title page or the catalog of plays shows us that the number 17 is important in the First Folio. That is why we need not go any further than this number to find out it's a clue in the authorship game. There's something interesting as well. There are 17 lines from the bottom of the page to the tailed Q. It's the second Q in the right-hand column from the bottom. In the left-hand column, there are 17 lines from the top of the page, also to the second letter Q. This gives the page a hidden symmetry. Here is a weird coincidence. A gematria sum of all uppercase letters other than speaking cues in these boxes adds to 287. 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 7 is 17. This line from the right-hand column may be a clue we are on the right track. Why repeat "come Warwick" twice? If it's not to be a clue, we are to add things. So here we have 2 pages with the same puzzle. Page 152 has 2 versions of it. Page 135 has 1 example. This gives us another example of the tria sunt omnia principle. The same sort of puzzle is repeated 3 times. Also note the page numbers 152 and 135. When you add their digits, their sums are 8 and 9. 1 plus 5 plus 2 is 8. 1 plus 3 plus 5 is 9. And you add those together, and you have 17. I believe that this is not a coincidence, and it's further proof that the compositors and publisher of this book included dozens of clues and hints as to the identity of the real author of the plays. And don't forget these sums that match. 51 is 17 times 3. We have 4 numbers and 1 constant. We have 2 pages from the same cycle of plays, connected 2 different ways. At the top, we have the digit sum numbers that add to 17. And then in the left and right-hand columns, respectively, we have puzzles which add to digit sums that also have the number 17. On page 152, we see it in the left-hand column. Page 135, it's in the right-hand column. And don't forget our original puzzle, which is a numbergram in the right-hand column of page 152 that adds to 17. How many times does the number 17 have to appear before it's meaningful? I believe that these little puzzles are further proof Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, was Shakespeare. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.